Hello again. This is Sandra White coming to you from the White's Kitchen. Today we're going to make a Christmas pudding. When Miranda asked me to show you how to make a Christmas pudding, I had to think back to when I was a young girl, and every Christmas we had cranberry pudding for Christmas dinner. My mother always made this for us, and it was a recipe that her mother made, and maybe, my great-grandmother even. I don't know. I think you can find a recipe online for it because it's very common. Today we're going to make cranberry pudding. So let us begin. Cranberry pudding. The recipe is 2 cups of cranberries cut in half, 1/2 cup molasses, 2 tablespoons raw or turbinado sugar, 2 teaspoons of soda in 1/3 cup of hot water. Doesn't have to be boiling, only hot. 1 1/3 cups of flour. You mix all these together and you steam them for 1/2 hour. To begin with, I have sprayed my bowl with a cooking spray so that it won't stick to your bowl. When the pudding's done, you'll be able to take it out by spoonfuls, or you might be able to turn it out onto a platter if you wish. Next comes the cranberries. You will find these cranberries in stores in Hong Kong around Thanksgiving and Christmas. So you should be able to get the cranberries. I've taken and cut them in half. That's what you need to do with them. You rinse them and drain them and cut them in half. Then we're going to add some molasses. I think you can find this kind of molasses. If not, there may be another variety you can find in Hong Kong. And then our turbinado sugar, our soda, water, and flour. So, I have the cranberries here, and we're going to add the molasses. Here's our turbinado sugar. We'll mix that in. Now our soda needs 1/3 cup of hot water. We'll add that next. And you can see it bubbling up. I'll stir it up a little so that it will all come out of the cup. We can stir that into our cranberries, and we will add our flour that I've pre-measured. It's 1 1/3 cups. After we get this all mixed in, then we will put it in our sprayed bowl and then stick it in our steamer. And we will let that steam away for 1.5 hours. You might want to check it a little early. It may not take quite 1.5 hours. So now here's our pudding, and I have my steamer on the stove already boiling. We're going to put that in there and set. I have a clock on my stove, a timer, so I'm going to set it for 1.5 hours. While your pudding is cooking and steaming, you're going to want to make the sauce. Our sauce is a little different than what my mother and my grandmother used to make. They used to make a sauce with eggs and butter and sugar and whipping cream, and it was very, very rich and very, very fattening and not very healthy. So I've tried to make our sauce a little more healthy. I thought about it for a long time, and these are things you can get in Hong Kong. So here is the sauce that I have made up for the pudding. It's made of 1 package of Jell.o vanilla pudding and pie filling, the instant kind, and 1 can of coconut milk. Now, your coconut milk probably isn't this brand, but you will find some good coconut milk there, because I always liked yours better than this. So it won't matter, just so it's a can, and most cans this size have 2 cups of coconut milk in them. So then you're going to put your milk into the bowl and beat it, and then add your pudding mix to it. I have beaters that I'm going to use, but maybe a wire whip, or I don't know, maybe you have an old-fashioned egg beater. I don't know. But I think it'll work. I know that I found when I tried to use soy milk, it didn't thicken, but it thickens with the coconut milk. But if it doesn't, it won't matter, because it's just a sauce to put over your pudding, and it might melt a little anyway over the hot pudding. So let's begin with the coconut milk. I will open this can of coconut milk and pour it into my bowl. Then I'll beat it for a few minutes, just to let it try and whip up just a little, get a little bit of air into the coconut milk. Now we will open our Jell.o pudding and pie filling mix, the vanilla kind, and we will add it to our coconut milk. Pour it in all at once. Then we will beat for 2 or 3 minutes. The recipe on the package says 2 minutes. After we beat it for 2 minutes, then we will put it in the refrigerator and let it set up some more. We haven't beat for 2 minutes, but as you can see, it's starting to get thick. When I've tried this with soy milk before, it's never done that. And so I thought maybe it had something to do with using milk as opposed to soy milk, but apparently coconut milk works better than soy. I don't know if that's been exactly 2 minutes, but it's looking pretty good. So I think it's ready to put in the refrigerator and wait for our pudding to be done. Our pudding has finished, and this is how it looks. Now we're ready to serve it with our Christmas dinner. Maybe you have a nice little dessert dish to put it in, and you spoon out a little bit of the hot pudding, and on that you put a spoonful of our topping that is now ready to serve, and you eat it while it's warm. In America, for our Christmas dinner, we would probably have something like, this is a vegetarian dinner, we would probably have something like the gluten steaks that I showed you how to make, and maybe some dressing or stuffing, and perhaps mashed potatoes and gravy, and some sweet potatoes or some other kind of vegetable, and maybe a little fruit salad along with dinner rolls, and then our dessert. I hope that you also have a wonderful Christmas dinner this Christmas.